I have come down very deep in California. I'm in Redwood Creek, where we are discovering a forest. Now, you might be wondering, what am I talking about in a TechPulse episode when it comes down to forest? Well, it's a very special edition today because this forest is actually owned by Apple in collaboration with the Conservation Fund. It's about 5 kilometers wide and 10 kilometers long. And this forest is actually one of the many properties that Apple is working on to achieve the carbon neutral goal that they have set out for themselves by 2030. As we all know that Apple is trying to achieve a complete carbon neutral state by the year 2030, and such properties are helping them to achieve it. Now, this is a complete and foolproof business plan that Apple is working on. They adopt a property like this, they take care of it, and also try to get an ROI out of it eventually. By taking care of the forest, they are not only helping conserve it, but also meeting the carbon neutral emission norms that they're trying to get. Now, throughout the day, we'll be telling you what kind of species that they're protecting. Along with the fact, we'll also be learning how they're planning to do it. And that is why we will be sitting down with Lisa, who's the VP for Environmental Protection and Policy in Apple. To give you a context of how far away we are, the nearest emergency room is 75 minutes away from this forest, and the nearest town is about 5 miles. This entire land is privately owned. The land that we just talked about and the one that you see on your screens is owned by Apple, but the surrounding forest and lands are also privately owned by families that have set it down through legacy. Now, before this completely turns into a man versus wild episode, we have to talk about the ROI aspect of Apple adopting this entire forest. Now, how does that work? This right here, this small cluster of trees, is an example of how Apple is making money as well while protecting this entire forest. Simply put, they very carefully sell the timber as well. They harvest timber in a very careful manner, which is environment friendly. So what they do is that they would figure out what tree they can harvest and then they sell it. So while protecting the forest, they are also providing employment in this area. Considering that this area is not particularly Silicon Valley, or rather far away from Silicon Valley, this is another opportunity for Apple to provide employment directly or indirectly through the Conservation Fund. Now, we can't go away from this forest or move to the next segment without talking about our own country, India. Now, Apple is figuring out multiple ways to reach the carbon emission norms, and they're doing it in two factors. One is, of course, investment. Like this land right here, it's an investment by Apple in which they have figured out an ROI way as well. But then there is another factor with which they are helping to conserve environment, and that is grants. And India is actually one of those countries where Apple has provided grants to protect mangroves in Alibag, Maharashtra. And now we are finally at the end of this video, and this is the part which you all have been waiting for. Welcome, Lisa.
Welcome to you.
Thank you so much. So Lisa, I have some quick questions for you, 3 quick questions. Are you good? So first and foremost, with the upcoming iPhone launch, how is Apple pushing with this particular product towards its goal for getting carbon neutral by 2030?
Yeah, well, the only way we're going to get to carbon neutral by 2030 is constantly designing and manufacturing with the environment in mind. You can't take your mind off of it because then we won't be able to meet the goal. So every product we're looking for opportunities to, put more clean energy with our supply chain and for more recycled material in our products. And we're looking for opportunities even on the logistics, how the products get transported over to market. But then we also have to realize that the technology today, as good as it is, it's going to continue to get better from an environmental perspective. But we know there's still going to be some carbon emissions that we're not able to remove.
Yeah.
And that's why, being here today in this redwood forest for us is an example of the kinds of nature-based projects. These trees, mangroves, grasslands, the ocean removes carbon from the atmosphere. In some ways, it's a technology that Mother Nature gave us that works pretty darn well. And so, what you'll see, what we're hoping you realize is that the project here today is connected to the products that we release because it picks up the rest of the work. These trees are part of our carbon plans as well.
I'm sure. My next question to you is that with Apple's growth in other countries as well, including mine. I mean, I come from India and the expansion is really aggressive, how Apple is taking over the market share. How do you see sustainability going in hand with expansion? How do you balance that out?
Oh, well, It's one of our values. It has to happen at the same time. It's not a think after the fact. When we are working with new suppliers, we're now in a position where we're looking for the supplier to commit to using clean energy. And of course, India is expanding clean energy tremendously.
Yeah.
And so that's an opportunity for us and for them, for the suppliers. And we're always looking for opportunities to communicate with new customers, to explain to them first why we value this, but also that we don't want them to worry about it because we're doing a lot of the worrying. We're thinking about the materials that we use. We're thinking about the energy that we use. We're thinking about how to remove carbon from the atmosphere to give us more time to innovate and find new inventions. So we don't see a trade-off. We don't see a balance. We see that we challenge ourselves to move in collaboration with our suppliers and our customers to continue to make progress.
Okay. And my final question to you is that what are the sort of innovations that we can expect from Apple? Because so far, every year, whenever you are the first keynote always on the iPhone launch generally. So what are the innovations that we can expect from you in the coming years in terms of environment conservation and of course, the bigger goal of carbon neutrality? Anything you can get from that?
I think we'll continue to push ourselves to move our goals on clean energy, to move our goals. I think one of my favorite ones is you should expect to continue to see us increasing the amount of recycled material that's in our products. Why? Because recycled material is great for many reasons, but it also generally has a much lower carbon footprint than non-recycled material. And so that's an opportunity. So when you see us talking about recycled material, it's actually because that's a way of saying, and look, we haven't forgotten our climate goals. I also think that we'll continue to emphasize with our customers the importance of the circular economy, this idea that the devices, even though they have very long lifespans, at the end, we need that material back. The world needs to treat that material as the precious material that it is. And we'll continue to have, we have about 24 projects like this on 6 continents, including in India. We have projects, and to continue to invest in projects that allow us to remove carbon from the air. So I hope you'll continue to just see more of the same, and almost that it becomes so expected that we don't, you'll be able to check out our environmental report, you'll be able to check out our product reports and see the progress there, but it's just another delightful part of an Apple experience.
I'm certain. Thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.